السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وارض عنا وتقبل منا وأدخلنا الجنة ونجنا من النار وأصلح لنا شأننا كله. Today inshallah we'll recite Hadith 2, 4, 5, 8. Again we are in the section of seeking refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the worldly things which is gonna harm us. That's Rasulullah taught us. In this hadith, which is narrated by Hazrat Anas, وعن أنس رضي الله تعالى عنه قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل والجبن والبخل وضلع الدين وغلبة الرجال. متفق عليه. In this beautiful hadith, this is our personal traits in a human being and also collectively. This is what Rasulullah is teaching us, that we should ask refuge in Allah from these traits that is in a human being can also cause them to lose significant amount of khair and goodness in this dunya and in hereafter. So what are those? Anas Razila Ta'ala anhu reported that Rasulullah has says this is how he make dua and he asked Allah's refuge. And he said, "Oh Allah, I come in your refuge from number one, anxiety and unnecessary concern and sadness." So whenever somebody is very, very anxious, then he will lose the focus. He cannot function properly. He cannot do any kind of assignment which has been assigned to you in this world. He cannot even offer his prayer correctly because of the anxiety and unnecessary concerned about things and sadness. Depression is the most common disease right now in the world. Although the world has so much to offer, which was not offered in the previous times. When we look at our life of our beloved messenger, for months he does not have any hot things to eat. He can just have either a date or water. That's it. But look at this, how people are having the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but still they are all depressed. They have so much of anxiety. And the reason of this anxiety and depression and stress is because they are not asking, they are not coming in the refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 3 is that you become handicapped, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you handicapped for any reason. You cannot perform your things as you want to do. So that's the fourth. And then laziness, that you are lazy in doing everything in this world and lazy in terms of offering your obligations to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So laziness is something which will harm you in this dunya and hereafter. And then if you are having a trait of cowardice, or you are coward, you don't want to fight, you don't want to strive in the path of Allah. And then if Allah has given you any kind of blessings, especially the mal, you become miser. So you have to make sure you ask Allah's refuge that you should not be in the category of miser. And then in the past, people used to be slave. In actuality, they are slave. And Islam came and Islam, abolished the slavery step by step. But nowadays, the wealthy nations are making other nations slave by giving them loans. And also on a individual basis, there are companies, credit card companies and all these companies which will make you slave by giving you and entangle you in loans. So Rasulullah is saying that you should ask Allah's refuge in any kind of loan that is on your neck. And then Rasulullah is also saying you ask refuge from the people who have control over you. And then this is very, very important, that if you are living in a non-Muslim land, then the people who are on top of you and they are making laws in a way that is controlling your well-being here in this dunya or hereafter. So the order is that you should leave that land. But in this day and age, look at that how difficult it is for people to move around. But we need to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we should not be, also in job. If your superior is very strict and give you tough time, then your life will be very hard. Also, people who are in certain trades, when they go into certain kind of professions, those professions, their job requirement is very, very tough. So we need to make sure we ask Allah that Allah should give us the best of this dunya and give us the best in hereafter, in all shape and form. And all these things which I discussed, that means number one is anxiety, number two is sadness, number three is handicap, number four is laziness, number five is cowardness, number six is miserness, number seven is the loan that is on your neck, and number eight is that someone who has authority over you. Then imagine that how difficult for you to really perform the obligation that Allah has put on you. So if we ask Allah's protection from all these things, Allah will give us the strength, Allah will give us the focus, and Allah will give us that we can perform everything in a specific time in the best way possible. And in another narration, Rasulullah also asking us to make sure we ask protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the knowledge that doesn't benefit someone. People who have knowledge, and that knowledge is that they are not transmitting the knowledge the way it should be transmitted, or they have the knowledge but they are not following that knowledge. They are not doing it by themselves. So this is a big test for people. So Rasulullah asked that, you have to make sure that whatever Allah has given you knowledge, you apply on it and you follow it. Also, an heart that has no fear in it. So if your heart has no fear, then you become tyrant and you become arrogant and you become heedless. So we need to make sure that we have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, truly what we need to have. So we will stay away from these things that will make us go astray. And also Rasulullah says that you should seek protection from Allah from a nafs which does not submit. That means your desires are your, nauzubillah, God. You worship your desires. And when that happens, it will ruin you. Also Rasulullah says that a dua that has been called to Allah and it's not answered, you should ask protection. And the most important aspect in the duas that does not answer is when somebody, Rasulullah says in a narration, consume haram, wear haram, drink haram. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not respond the duas. So stay away from all kind of disobedience to Allah. And the most important thing is that you need to make sure whatever goes in your mouth is halal, whatever you wear is halal, and you should be living a halal life, which is following Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.